All right, time now is 6:49. It's our first Monday of 2026 and also our first chance to preview what's in store for the city of San Antonio. Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones is live on this Monday for our weekly segment. Good morning,
Hi,
Mayor.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
I didn't get the memo on Maroon. You should have told me.
I know.
All right, next time. Yeah, we'll introduce you into the group chat.
Yeah.
But hey, the biggest story right now, capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. You released a statement on the operation, citing your own military experience in Iraq. What warning signs do you see right now with this whole situation?
Well, look, I think it's, in general, I think also the process by which we do things is very, very important, right? And so, yeah, I cited not only my time as an Iraq War veteran, right, and understanding that if we're not careful about what we enter into, right, and if it's not clear to the American people the vital national security interests that are at risk, we could be, as I said, needlessly putting people in danger. We could be squandering, wasting time and resources, and we could also be losing the faith and trust of our partners and allies that are so important to everything that we do. Venezuela is also special to me. When I separated from the Air Force, my first job was working at U.S. Army South, and that's the Army element responsible for all military operations in Latin America. And my portfolio included Venezuela. Wow. So I understand a little bit about the history there. I remember actually Maduro was part of that at the time. So really understand some of the dynamics there that I think are important for all of us to understand. But I think process-wise, as American citizens, right, it's really important that we are being thoughtful about our resources. And how we invest those things and how we invest the time and treasure of our sons and daughters who are courageous enough to wear the cloth. So, I, like many, very concerned about the lack of notification to Congress, as well as, again, whenever you do things like this, you have to have a clear understanding of what is the national security interest that is at risk. And I don't think that has been well articulated. Again, as an Iraq War veteran, I was in a group chat actually with some of my fellow veterans, and that experience is very real and very recent for us. We were, bogged down there for a very long time, and when I also think about what we could have been doing at that time, right? Let's never forget we are in a competition with the People's Republic of China. Right? When we think about the global things, the strategic things over the long term that are really going to impact our country, it is how we respond to the ways in which the People's Republic of China challenges our security, our interests, and our values. So we should not be distracted, especially, and again, I saw that firsthand given my time as the Undersecretary of the Air Force, overseeing both the Air Force and the Space Force. So there are many more strategic things, I think, that we need to be balancing, and I certainly hope our Commander-in-Chief is doing that. And let me also say, my thoughts are with those soldiers that I understand they're only soldiers, but i.e. they're not other service members, but the soldiers that are currently receiving care at BAMC for their injuries, right? Again, there's always a cost potentially, and so you always want to make sure that it's clear what you're doing, why you're accomplishing it, because someone's got to cash that check.
Have you heard about any of their conditions or how many exactly are there?
I have not heard it sounds like the department is keeping those details close hold, so I have not heard exact numbers or exact conditions of those folks, but of course we keep those folks in our prayers.
Yeah, I'm sure you have heard though about the protests that happened over the weekend here in San Antonio, as well as across the state. What do you want residents to know here in San Antonio that may have Venezuelan ties and are concerned about what's happening in their home country?
Well, I think two things can be true at the same time. Right. When I remember seeing actually some of the very kind of positive reactions from Venezuelans, and again, was Nicolás Maduro a dictator? Absolutely. Right. That still means, though, that we as a country follow a process so that we are being judicious with our time, our resources, and all the other things that we're balancing. I remember when Saddam Hussein, when he was taken down, they were cheering in the streets too. Right? So I would argue that's kind of the easy part of this. Now it's like, okay, what happens next? And when you hear things like, we're going to run Venezuela, and then you saw yesterday the counter with that Secretary Rubio said, Venezuela is 30% larger than the state of Texas in terms of land mass. Their population, also 30 million, just like our state. So you don't just kind of say we're going to run this thing, right, without a clear understanding of how that's actually going to happen. So I think, you know, again, those of us that have been not only Iraq War veterans, but also have worked in national security know that the really difficult and most challenging time is ahead, because again, that's not something we necessarily want to do by ourselves. We'd want to do that in concert with others, and certainly make sure that the will of the Venezuelan people is heard and respected. So yes, thankful that there's one less dictator, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can do whatever we want all over the world, right? Yeah.
Well,